based on, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and when it's baseless, that can lead down to some devastating roads. So, Hey, Amy, welcome. We're live. Hi, everyone.
Oh,
Glad
my
you
gosh.
could join us. Yeah.
We already started the conversation.
We did. We're just in it. We are in it.
Yeah, YouTube's on the late show. That's the problem. They're dragging behind us. I am so excited to jump in and jump out of this subject today, Shane, because have you ever Googled like the phrase "why businesses fail"?
If not those exact words, something very similar, because I was so scared of mine failing. I was like, what do I, something around those words. Okay,
what do I not do so I don't fail?
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. When I couldn't figure out what to do, I was like, okay, well, at least let me learn what not to do. And then I'll be a good start. That'll be a good start.
Yeah. Been there with the Googling of, okay, what is it that I don't need to do so I can make sure I get what I want, right?
How businesses fail, stuff like that.
Yep. Well, I did a quick Google search and Forbes did I really like Forbes. They do really great research groups and they write really good articles. But in this particular topic, I want to debunk some myths and misconceptions that they put within this article. It says 8 common reasons small businesses fail. Now I'm going to read them to you at a high level. And, they start out by saying, hey, it's no secret that a large portion of entrepreneurs and aspiring business owners fail. As a matter of fact, the current numbers from the Small Business Association, Shane, says that within the first year, 30% of businesses are closed. Now, for a long time, that was 20%. Right before COVID, that they up-leveled that number. Okay. And then by year 5, 50% are gone. And by year 10, 66% are gone. That is a huge dropout rate.
Yeah.
That is a huge dropout rate in the business world. So they talk about these 8 reasons. Are you ready?
Ready.
No vision, no niche, no business plan, no marketing plan, no action. I'm not even sure what that means. No commitment to learning, no follow-up, and no consistency.
Okay.
I mean, okay, let's just set the record straight here. Those are all natural byproducts of 3 components that if you know these 3 things, you are always going to be consistent. You will have no problem with follow-up. You will always be the lead learner because you mastered the mechanic of research. You will always be profitable. You will not need a business plan to get a loan from the bank because your bank account and your credit score will speak for you because your business is actually profitable. And oh, by the way, you can actually write yourself a paycheck and pay the IRS. Can you imagine?
Oh, living it. Yeah. I'm telling you, I have not had a bank ask me for a business plan.
No.
Nope. No. I just show them financials. They're like, yes.
That's right. That's right. Go. Okay. So I want to park this conversation for a second because I love your story, Shane. I love your story pre-ownership because I mean, I'm going to say it. You won't say it. You're a humble guy. Your wife is super humble and also super pretty and seems to never age.
She is.
And as you get older, I'm like, what's happening? Reese still looks like
reverse aging. I'm aging for both of us.
Wait, how does one do that? So anyway, so you guys are just really great people. And clearly I'm a fan. But here is the reality, you guys, is that when I met Shane, now he was 8 months out of a very, very successful career, him and 2 other guys with a folding table, right, Shane?
That's right. Shared 8-foot table, just like you see in a dining hall.
Launched a company that had never been done in the industry they were in. Okay. And these guys over 22 years, was it 22 years?
Yeah.
Grew that business from a folding table to a $40 million facility, right? and had revenue of upwards of 32 million.
Yes.
Right. Am I hitting all the right?
You're hitting the numbers, man.
I'm getting it, man, because I have always been impressed by this. I mean, there was a manufacturing plant, right? And there was, there was multiple streams of throughput processes and teams of people that were birthed from the three of you. I mean, it's a brilliant story. So I have often, when I find myself talking about your story without you around, the question that I can see rolls over people's faces is, why did he call you 8 months into launching a business and say, hey, like, I don't have much runway left. What I thought worked isn't working for me to get profitability. And I need help. So tell us, hindsight, because you're now what, 4.5 years into this business now?
4.5. That's crazy. That's crazy to think about. Yeah.
Wow. You got a toddler.
That's wild. Yes. Baby in the business ownership world. That's exactly right. I still am learning, and I'll always will be, I hope.
I'm going to tell you what though, man, let's be real honest. You are more profitable than some of the CEOs of companies that I had to come into and partner with. I mean, you're more profitable. Your margins are better. You don't have to have a business plan to get a loan from the bank, which is amazing. I mean, these kind of things really, really matter. And I want you guys to know everything we're talking about today, and even Shane's story, is all about profitability. Because I'm going to say something to you that I wish someone would have told me before I lost my first business, that if you cannot pay yourself a paycheck, you do not have a business, my friend. You have a hobby. You have something that is not mature enough to actually take care of itself. So the fact that Shane, 4 years in, is fully has a full paycheck coming from his company, has bought and sold property because of his company, has put his child into Clemson with his business, has, the list goes on and on and on. And the business can pay for itself, and you can pay the IRS, is really a bit, unheard of 4 years into a business launching. So tell us one or two things you would say, man, hindsight, let me look back there and I'll tell you what was missing.
Yeah. So let's just define back there even a little bit better. At that 8-month mark, I had made $1,000. $1,000 in 8 months.
That is hard.
Made $1,000. I was burning through cash that I had put aside to be able to exit. And I knew enough to know when to throw the flag and say, get some help. Right. So that was the position I was in. I needed someone who had been where I wanted to go and could show me the way. I think, I prided myself on knowing the numbers when I was in the big business, right? $32 million. I could tell you what, our average acquisition was on an annual basis, blah, 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 all that stuff. I could tell you all the numbers, right? But what I didn't know until I met you was the numbers that I was looking at were irrelevant. They were irrelevant. So I had no clue what I should be really looking for to tell me the health of my business. My P&L was not the starting point. I was too busy looking at the numbers on the scoreboard and not at the numbers that actually drove the scoreboard. So that was the first thing that I think was a wake up for me when I met you. I didn't know what to dial into. I knew something was broke, but I didn't know how to diagnose. Does that make sense? So then I think also I had opinions about what other people needed and about what I should be offering in order to give them a solution that I wanted for them. So when it came to market research, I did none. I did Shane research. What does Shane like? What does he enjoy? What does he believe other people should care about? And then I'd put that out into the world. I did so many things that were just they were not timed right, nor were they focused correctly within the process of building a business. Now, I did all those same things in the bigger business, right? But we had a product in a market that we just hit. And I'm telling you, looking back, it was just divine providence that the thing worked. It wasn't because I was some genius or those other guys were some genius. Like, we had a couple of people that said this is cool and it worked for them. And we started promoting their stories. And then, man, it just happened, right? Like it was accidental. Like that's just the truth. Right. And it grew so fast and so crazily. We didn't have to have a lot of understanding. We could afford to do stuff and see what happened. So money covered a lot of research sins in the marketing area.
Yeah.
And I think the final thing was because it was such a hot product that we had, you mentioned we came in and we just were an industry disruptor. Like we knew enough to put together something that was going to solve some problems. But as it grew, we got complacent on conversion.
Yeah.
Like we got to the place where we were fat and happy. And so here I built that mentality for 22 years. And then I go in and I make $1,000 in the first 8 months. Like I really woke up to the idea that I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And it was a humbling experience to be able to say, okay, maybe what happened was less to do with my genius and more to just do with some divine providence that allowed me to have some very valuable experiences and learn a lot of lessons, none of which helped me actually grow my business.
Yeah.
So those are kind of the three things that I see that stood out.
Yeah. I mean, what I heard you say was measuring. And we can measure metrics, but there are metrics that are more valuable to us than not. Also, I heard you say the research process and really dialing down and understanding what the consumer wants the most from you. What is it that they put the most value on?
Yes.
And then the third thing was getting better and better at converting people and not just telling ourselves we're great at conversion when all of our business is coming from referrals and basically the thing has already been sold for us. Right.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So, yeah. So the difference between these three things you're talking about and what Forbes says, vision, niche, business plan, marketing plan, action, commitment, follow-up, and consistency is the three things that you identified, Shane, are what I would say are the mechanisms that build the skills of vision, niche, business plan, marketing plan, action, commitment, follow-up, and consistency. What Forbes is saying, hey, these skills are lacking. And I would go a step farther and say the mechanism that develops these skills are missing. Does that make sense?
Totally does. It's, it's almost like, I had this facade that was built on no foundation. And when it met up with reality, try to grow a business.
Yeah.
It fell.
Yeah. So when we talk about their first big thing, vision, that skill of vision, one huge byproduct of knowing and learning the mechanism of measuring, that really sets forth the vision, because as an owner, we have to be practical first. Yes, we can want to help people and we can want to build orphanages in third world countries and feed people that don't have food, but we have to first have enough money to do those things. Yes. So typically the vision of the business must first come from a set of numbers. Well, what numbers are those, right? And I'm not going to dive into that today. We're talking strictly about learning mechanisms that lead to new skills. And once those skills are mastered, now we can talk about variation. But most owners are not willing to say, hey, I don't know the skill. I don't have the skill of discovering my niche, so I'm going to go hire a digital marketer. Well, guess what? A digital marketer also does not know what your niche is. They know what subject they could target, what keywords they could use. They know what commercials they could fly. But the reality is that unless you know what the end user that's looking at all of that stuff or taking the action really wants, it's not going to convert.
No.
Or
no matter how hard you hope, wish, pray it will.
That's right. Or it's going to be less than 3%, which is not going to be enough for profitability, no matter how many people are seeing it. Yeah. So when we talk about mechanism, Shane, it reminds me of like when I learned to drive a car, right? Like when I first got into the car and I was looking at the set of numbers, I wasn't looking at, there's like the speedometer and then there's another odometer. What is that thing?
You've got the RPMs and you have your speed. Those two things. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I got in the car, if I was looking at the RPMs instead of the speed, I would be very confused. I would think I need to go faster, or I would think I need to slow down, right? But the speed is what keeps me in constant movement towards my destination, not the RPMs.
That's right.
So we have to first learn the mechanism of what numbers matter, and then begin the habit of learning those numbers. So we have to test them. We have to practice measuring. This is the very first thing. There's 6 phases to the work that I do with clients. And the first 3 are all designed to master mechanisms so that your skill set changes. And then you can achieve profitability no matter what is happening in the market, no matter what lead generator is popular or not popular, or cuts you off or kicks you out, or what digital ad agency says they can do for you, because you know where to vary the actions and where not to. So the second thing that I paid attention to in the car was where to put my hands. I mean, when I first got into the car, I was not drinking coffee and putting on mascara and driving with my knee. My hands were at 10 and 2. Like, I was like gripping this thing. Like, I just don't want to die. Take out everybody with me. Right. Like, I had to really master what it felt like when I hit a bump, or something changed in the variation of the driving experience. I only knew that by keeping my hands at 10 and 2. The mechanism, mastering the mechanism of driving the car from the steering wheel was very important, right? Which is this research phase. I mean, we have got to know where the steering wheel, the client, wants to go. How does it react when the market goes up or down? What is their buying habits and patterns? What do they love? Like, what really gets them going and keeps them in between the lines, and what completely sends them into orbit, right? Yes. Like, what do they want? The mechanism of research matters here. That's what I heard you say. Look, we didn't know. We were basically slinging mud. And because the market was narrow enough and we were the first to come into it, it was easy.
That's right. That's it. That's it. We were watching RPMs. Didn't even know there was a speedometer.
Yeah. And let's be real honest. When you launched that business, the internet was young. Email was the only thing. Internet was a couple of years off. Yeah. So, it was very young. It wasn't yet even in its infancy, and people were not using it. Now there is so much competition because of the internet that your differentiator, your edge, is this research mechanism, understanding how to better understand what lies below the surface of the people that are buying from you. And finally, I heard you say conversion. I mean, here's the deal. When you master the skill of measuring numbers, and you master the skill of research, the natural byproduct is your conversions get better. But you also have to attend and have have research built into your sales process, have numbers built into your research process. So before you die a cold death on a lonely mountain, the numbers have already warned you. You've heard from the market, you know what they want, and you've just chosen not to go there.
That's right. Yes.
Right. Yep. So
it's intentional versus reactionary. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And conversions I'm telling you, even organically, they can get better and better. I mean, today I can get a 70 to 100% conversion on an ice cold market. I could not do that when I started, because I had to stay in the habit and really learn the mechanism of measuring the results, researching the market, figuring out what I could give them and what I couldn't, and then really getting better at listening to them and deciding, is this person ideal? Is this the person that the research has told me finds the most value in my work? And if the answer is no, the answer is no. I cannot help you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
And so this is the 3 mechanisms: measuring, research, and conversions. Really getting good and having a research-based sales process that is measured that helps you get better and better conversions so you can get more and more and more results in less time with less money spent getting that result. That is profitability. And the natural byproduct is, you know, your niche because you have research, you have a follow-up process because you know what they want. You are consistent because you're actually getting what you want. You have a vision because you've reverse engineered it from what you put value on and on what the market puts value on. And it's real easy to take action because you know what action to take every day. There is no like blind figuring out every morning what you're going to do. Mystery. Yeah, no mystery, no mystery. So I'm telling you, owners that lack consistency, owners that are scratching their head and saying, I think I need a niche. I'm going to back you up and say, what you need is you've got to take the time to learn the mechanisms of measuring, research, and conversions. And the natural byproduct is going to be plenty of money, plenty of time. You will learn the skill of consistency. You will learn the skill of niching. You will learn the skill of vision casting. You will learn the skill of business planning. Those are skills. Those are basically business acumen. Business acumen is a set of skills based out of understanding the mechanisms of business. And that also is not taught in the classroom. You know, people, they talk about it in the classroom, but you have to experientially learn it and fail and measure and figure out what works and what doesn't work. So I really want to challenge you that if you are waking up every day and trying to figure out what to do, or you're just shooting every day, you're waking up and you're like, I got 100 leads, and the leads are not producing profitability. Or you have gotten yourself mixed up with a digital ad agency, which is great, but only once the owner can identify and define their success, measure it, and know the conversion. A digital marketer cannot help you. It's not their job, right? A coach cannot help you. A marketing coach cannot help you. You have to back up and say, what is it that I need to learn and take full responsibility? Natural byproduct. You can go build a business anytime in any climate. This is why someone like Burger King that launched in the middle of the Depression is still here.
It's crazy.
Right? Yep. Because those guys knew the mechanisms that created the skills that everyone can see. It's very similar to an algorithm. People can't see what it's doing back there. They can only see the results of it up front.
Yeah, it's good.
And that's what we have to do, is we have to master what people cannot see if we want to be recognized for things that they can see. And that's the truth. Yeah, and that's the reason why we say all the time, Shane, systems run businesses, but people run the systems. So I can't wait till next week, Shane.
Love it. Love it.
We're going to have another conversation. All right, guys.
I'll be here.
Hope you have a great week.